Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special Wednesday night Theotek edition. And this edition's title is "See You Later, iPhone 7 Headphone Jack," and we'll get to that in just a little bit. We have a little bit of a smaller panel tonight because Antoine could not join us, and so I'm looking right now at one Kevin Purcell. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good. Rushing in from our Wednesday night service, we had a supposed to be short deacons meeting that ended up going a little bit longer, so I was kind of harried getting myself back in here. But I'm here ready to go with my big old cup of water.
I don't think there's any more dangerous words in the church language than short deacons meeting. And then I'm going to skip LaRosa for the second. We have Rick Mansfield of This Lamp. How you doing, Rick?
Good evening. Doing well. You said today's Wednesday. I felt like it was Tuesday
Thursday.
all day for some
Thursday.
reason.
Wait, what day is it?
See, you're messed up too.
It's Wednesday. I said it was Wednesday.
It's felt like, I know. I said, but it's felt like Tuesday all week to me because of Labor Day this week. That's thrown my whole week off.
Oh, your what is it? Yeah. Circadian rhythm is completely off. Thank you. This is off to a great start tonight. And then we have one LaRosa Johnson, who gets a special shout out this week and doesn't get a vote to veto it. LaRosa, you want to tell people about your new website very briefly?
Sure. Just launched a website on Monday called devos.hiphop, devos.hiphop. Yes, .hiphop. That is now a top-level domain. And so, yeah. Launched it on Monday. Basically, the premise of the site is I take Christian hip-hop songs, which are very rich in theology, and do a devotion based on the song. And I've got an accompanying podcast as well.
And Kevin's got it up on the screen right now. I'm sure we'll get that link into the show notes. Well,
yeah, that first one, and I really enjoyed it. It's short and sweet, so you can get it in a few minutes. What was it, about 6 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, about 6 minutes total.
Yeah, and I'm not a big hip hop fan, but it is interesting to be able to, someone who's coming from the outside of that realm. It was still interesting to hear, and hearing the words of the song and listening to you describe and talk about it.
Awesome. Well, guys, we moved our time to it is Wednesday, right, Rick?
I was trying to get the link for the show. I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead. I wasn't paying attention.
We moved our date to Wednesday because there was a little announcement today that Apple had out in California, and we were all watching it and decided that we probably should be discussing that instead of waiting until next week. And so we had some interesting things that went out, and just putting out there, what did you guys think one of the most interesting topics that Apple covered today was?
Well, I know you guys are going to think I'm nuts, but I actually think that the most interesting announcement today was not about an iPhone or Apple software or a watch. I actually think the most interesting thing that they announced today was that Nintendo is porting Super Mario to the iPhone.
Woohoo!
I mean, I actually think that's interesting for more than just, hey, that's, it's hearkening back to my younger years when I was a young man and first bought a Nintendo as a young man. I didn't get one as a teenager or younger because, my parents just didn't have money for things like that. But it was fun to play even as a 20-something young man, and I loved it. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun to play, and I think this is just a gateway for all the other Nintendo things. But what's more interesting about it is this is Nintendo, so almost, not quite, but almost throwing up their hands saying, okay, console wars, we're toast. Let's
Well, they had said that they weren't going to do this.
What's that?
They had said that they weren't going to do this, that they weren't going to go on any of the mobile platforms. And so they're on iOS now, and presumably they'll be on Android soon.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently you can sign up for it. I didn't look. I didn't see that. But is it true that if you go into the App Store?
If you go in the App Store, there's already an app listing there. And if you click on it, it'll have a button that says Notify. And I've already done it, and it'll notify you as soon as the app launches.
I have not done this yet. How much did they announce the price yet?
They did not announce the price, but there are going to be no in-app purchases.
Yeah, I did hear that. That was awesome. My thing with this, Kev, because I think it's as far as just overarching, looking at the whole scheme of technology industry, this is the most interesting thing that got announced today, and it's just because it is Nintendo saying we're moving our mobile platform to other platforms, and if the DX rumors are true, and that the DX is kind of a hybrid mobile home console, then this kind of makes sense. That they're going to have this hybrid thing that might be too big to consider a real mobile, and they're going to move a lot of their IP over to these other platforms.
It'll be a very good day when I can play Zelda and Mario Kart on my iPad or iPhone.
That's coming, and I hope two things happen. I hope that comes to the iPad.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a lot more fun playing some of the games, like Mario Kart would be more fun, steering it on an iPad, and the Apple TV, with a controller.
I can't lift my TV though like that to steer it.
Yeah,
you get the controller.
But I'm gonna do it. No, and then the other thing is, as you all know, if you've watched us before, I'm dually aligned. I have iPhone and Android. And so I hope that eventually it comes to Android as well.
Well, they said they were basically, but they weren't allowed to actually come right out and say. They said it will be available first in the App Store.
First,
right?
That was the thing. And listen, they've been shown over the last couple of years that their IP would do really, really well on the App Store. You have games like Oceanhorn, which is essentially Wind Waker for of Zelda, and you had. There was a Pokemon clone that was almost a perfect clone of Pokemon that came out last year that I really played and really enjoyed. And I think they finally realized that people don't want to carry a third device around anymore. And the people who are getting access to the phones, because parents are now just passing them down to kids, even if they're only using them as glorified iPod touches, are getting younger and younger and younger, and they're losing that market for a dedicated gaming mobile platform.
Yeah,
they've lost a generation that buys gaming consoles unless you're buying an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Wes, what else did you think was interesting besides the big stuff?
Well, it was really brief, and in fact, I had popped on right as they were doing it, and I asked, "What did I miss?" And Rick told me nothing. But they came out
which
really
was really
brief.
true.
Yeah, and it was amazing because I went back and watched it. But they did a very brief showing of real-time collaboration using iWork, which I thought was rather interesting because the iPad for education has been taking a huge hit compared to Chromebooks. Chromebooks are a lot cheaper. Google Docs are real-time collaboration tools for teachers can work with students and things like that. And so this is kind of Apple pointing out, hey, iWork is still here, and they really needed to do, and they're looking to make this much more compatible with a Google Docs kind of mindset, which was interesting because their target audience or their target competition is no longer Microsoft Office. That to me, that's what that said, is that they're shifting gears to see how they can compete with Google.
As soon as Microsoft Office made their mobile apps available on the iPad,
mm-hmm.
I ceased. I have one document that for some stupid reason I've never exported to Word, and so it's still in my Pages in iCloud, so I know it's always on every.
Other than Keynote, I'm with you, Kevin. I just, I quit using. Yeah. Well, I quit using iWork for two reasons. When they made the major change to the version that is, that's current now, and it wouldn't open up some of the older document formats. And now they've come back and fixed that, but they basically were starting from scratch. They were doing a Final Cut. Version 10 to iWork is what they were doing. They were starting from scratch on it, and I understand that, but it was so frustrating. It was so frustrating that I just, I thought I always have to be able to open up my older documents. So I went back to Word at that point, and I really hadn't used Word in years. I'd been using Mail and I'd been using Pages, and I went back to Word, and I just, that's fine. But something else about this collaboration, this is not their first attempt at this.
No.
Before they rebooted it, I can't remember what they called it. It was iWork at
iWork.com.
Yeah, iWork.com, because and it wasn't real-time collaboration, but you could still collaborate with other people. And I used this, teaching at IWU. I would use this to share documents with students, and because they could download that document, whether it was Word or whether it was Pages, whether it's whatever, they could download all that stuff. See, they killed that, and I think they killed it. We don't ever hear the internal goings on at Apple because they're pretty tight-lipped, but I think that they killed that because of redoing this format, which was to make the iOS version the standard, and then Mac would follow along, with that. And so I'm glad they're doing it, but I'm still hesitant. I mean, I didn't mean to take this over, but would any of you go back to, or maybe you're still there, but I'm still gun shy about going back to Apple's document. Other than Keynote, I still use Keynote, but everything else, I don't know.
Keynote is my de facto.
Yeah.
And I prefer, because I don't do really heavy number crunching, I prefer numbers to Excel. I just think the layout and the stuff just works
See, I went back to Excel. I use 3 or 4 different Excel spreadsheets at a time, and I went back to Excel. I converted them from numbers to Excel.
But I don't write any word processing in Pages. I'll use Pages if I want to do quick and easy page layout, and that's the only thing I'll use it for. Go ahead, Libert. I'm sorry, good job.
And I was going to say, I don't use them because I bought my MacBook Pro used, and you only get the software free with the new MacBook. So until they make it completely free, I'm not going to use it.
Good point.
So, and that's Pages is out, but Keynote's always been my go-to, and I
still prefer Keynote. I like Keynote better than PowerPoint. Every time I jump into PowerPoint, occasionally I have to create a PowerPoint for something. It's got to be in PowerPoint format, and so I'm thinking, rather than doing this in Keynote and then exporting, because then you still have to fix things, let me just do it from PowerPoint. And every time I'm in PowerPoint, it reminds me of why I prefer Keynote.
Yep. All right, let's move on. So that was only a 5-minute thing that they demoed. We've gone 10 minutes on it. But it was interesting. We did it. We covered it longer than Apple did.
Yeah, that's right.
But they also released a new version of Apple Watch today. And Rick, you have any thoughts on the new Apple Watch? What are they calling it? Series 2?
Series 2, and so it gives us. From what I understand, it's the same. It's basically the same size and thickness as the current one, which I think all of us. Do all of us have those? Or most of us have them. But La Rosa doesn't have one. But this will have GPS, so it's really kind of upping the game with with Fitbit and some of the others. It has GPS, and it's waterproof to 50 meters, which is probably a lot deeper than the average person goes to, and so it looks like a good improvement, and it'll be faster. It'll be a faster processor. In fact, they're still going to sell what they're calling the Series 1, but they're going to update that processor to make it faster. But faster processor, waterproof, GPS. Are any of those enticements to any of us here who have the Apple Watch to rush out and get the new Apple Watch?
If anyone, it would convince Antoine to go get one.
The GPS would definitely get him.
Yeah, because he does quite a bit of running and biking, and he was actually showing me on Slack earlier the run that he did. And I was supposed to go for a run this afternoon, and it just made me not want to run looking at his times.
Rick, the waterproofing is the only thing that I find that I really lack on this. And it's not worth the upgrade. But that's the whole point of the problem with the wearable product category, is the fact that most normal people don't want to replace their watch every year. They want to get a watch and have it for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, heck, people pass on watches as like heirlooms.
Especially under the $300 price point.
I haven't looked on eBay, but it'd be interesting to see what these are going for. Because Apple stuff in general usually has pretty good resale, and so anytime I've ever bought anything new from Apple, I've partially paid for it by selling the old whatever it is, whether that's a laptop or a phone or whatever. The other couple of things that they came out with, there's a Nike version that's going to be out, I think, in October. There's a ceramic version that's going to cost $1,200, but it seems like that ceramic version has replaced that gold version, which I think is gone.
Yeah, the gold version is gone.
So how many of you have the gold version?
I got 4 of them.
You know, I've never seen the gold version live, other than sitting in a case in an Apple store, unless I just wasn't paying attention.
How many did they make?
I don't know.
They only made like what, 10,000? And we
I think
don't
the only
work
people that own those are
in those
celebrities.
circles. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't find any. It's a nice upgrade. I'm a little concerned with how well this will run watchOS 3.
It runs it really well.
Okay, good. And I hope it doesn't kill the battery life. I still want it to be able to last all day.
You know, it feels like they're still in the learning stage. You know, it's kind of like, you know, if you think back to the original Mac, this is kind of like the Mac Plus. You know, so it's an improvement over the original, but it's definitely not going to the next whatever. You know, it's still the same size and shape, and they're still learning their way on it.
Yeah,
one
and
thing I was actually
go ahead, there,
naming convention. If they used it for the watch, this would be Apple Watch S. You know, it's the talk of the TikTok. You know, maybe it'll be more earth-shattering the next time one comes out. I sort of see the Apple Watch as something that they probably won't update the hardware more than, like, what is this, 18 months in?
Yeah.
And from someone like me who bought his, you know, I bought mine about a year ago now. You know, I don't. There's nothing that made me think, oh, I want that. You know, running Pokemon on it, I'll be able to do that.
I'll talk to that in a second.
I don't play Pokemon, but you know, I can do that on this one. As long as app developers start moving their watches, their apps to the watch, you still have a bunch of the apps that still don't run natively, even though, you know, the newest version. Of course, it's beta still, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fair for me to assume that they would do that, but I have a couple of one app that I use every week, if not every day. It's called Just Record, and every time
great app.
Every time they update it, I have to uninstall it from the watch and reinstall it for it to work properly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they can work that out when the beta is into gold, you know, and they get that going. But that is a great app, by the way. If you want to do voice recording on your watch and have it sync to the iPhone and to your iCloud.
Or just a discreet way to record that meeting that you're going into. That you want to make sure you have a record of that.
That's cool.
In states that allow that.
Yeah, there are 2 things I was actually impressed with as far as the Apple Watch. The first thing is because they were talking about how it's waterproof and everything, but then they were showing all the seals, and then they were like, the only thing we didn't seal was the speaker. And then I liked how they were able to get water out of that crevice using the speaker as a vacuum.
I thought that was really well done.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, wow. I mean, I would never have thought to do that. So I guess that's why I don't design hardware for Apple. But
yeah.
And then the second thing too is just that they're taking the process, the new processor, and putting it in the old shell, basically. So you've got the Series 1 now that's still running the new hardware, just minus GPS, for a lower price point. So if you don't need like the GPS for running or cycling or anything like that, you can.
It doesn't have waterproofing though either, right?
Right.
No, doesn't have that either.
Yeah.
So if you don't need any of those things, you can get the same processing power for $300.
Yeah, but if I was going to make that change, I'd want to go ahead and get the new one. But I'm sure that's probably just have a lower cost step for people who are buying for the first time.
Yeah, but $100 price difference, and the only thing you're getting for $100 more is GPS and waterproof.
I'd still want to pay the extra.
If most of my exercise was done in water, then the $100 would be worth it.
Yeah, or
that's my killer thing on this is that half my exercise in the summertime is in a pool, and I got no credit for it on this thing the entire summer. That drove me nuts. Of course, I also got more exercise because I was really compelled to close my circles anyway. But I got to say, I just bought my wife an Apple Watch for combination birthday anniversary, and I have no regrets to getting it and not waiting for this. So it serves her well, and there's no reason for her to upgrade.
So I can't remember who asked it, but Did anybody say that? Yeah, they're enticed to want to go get one. Nobody did, right?
Nope.
No.
I briefly thought about it, but it still doesn't do enough to replace the fitness watch that I already have. So no.
What's that?
Not really.
What do you have now?
I've got the Polar V800, which is a triathlete watch, and so I mean that does everything that I needed to do, and it lasts me more than 24 to 36 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like even using GPS on this for like an hour a day, I can go a week and a half, 2 weeks between charges.
Oh,
That's pretty amazing.
I was glad to see that the bands are still going to be compatible, and I hope that's something that they will keep in place even when they go to the next Series 3. I hope that those bands, because I have some extra bands. I have, this is the extra one I got from Apple, but then I've got 2 or 3 that I've gotten from Amazon that are much cheaper. But I would hate to have to part with all my bands and start over.
Yeah.
I'm breaking my watch.
It's so weird. One of them, it pulls out really easy one way and not really easy the other way.
I don't think it pulls out at all the other way, does it?
Yeah, one of them it does. And
You're supposed to press the button to.
Yeah.
Don't just rip it out, Kevin.
Yeah, don't just rip it out.
Well, the big news wasn't an Apple Watch or,
Mario
or whatever. What you said something about wanting to mention the before we move on, Wes, about being able to play Pokemon on your watch.
Oh yes. Well, I mean, to me that was when I saw that, I went ballistic because I've been hoping for that ever since I got the Apple Watch, and it looked really cool. But there was one major thing missing that actually kind of deflated my enthusiasm for it, which is I can see that the Snorlax is nearby, but I can't catch the dang thing on my watch, and that bummed me out.
Attention.
What'd you say?
Kind of stinks.
Yeah, I just so I can see it, but then I still got to get my phone out. No, I let me catch the Snorlax on here.
It's like you're speaking a different language.
I am speaking a different language. It's called Uber Nerd.
Yeah.
So you're only like nerd.
Yeah. Well, I downloaded the app the time that we talked about it, and then I think it was gone in maybe less than 12 hours. I don't know.
And I don't play as much as I did right at the beginning, but it's still fun to go out every now and again and see.
You see the numbers that Pokemon has dropped precipitously over the last about week or two in the number of downloads and the number of active users.
Well, they haven't added features that people want, which is
but apparently
turn-based battling between trainers and trading. What's that, Kev?
Apparently, we're going to get a Harry Potter version sometime soon. Woohoo! Yeah, who cares? Let's talk about the iPhone.
No, we got to talk about the AirPods first, or whatever they're called.
Well, that's kind of along with the iPhone. So jump onto the iPhone. Are you going to run out and get one, LaRosa?
You know what? I've been debating it all day long since I heard the announcement, because I've already got the 6S Plus, and for me, there's really not a whole lot changed from the 6S Plus to the 7, other than the new camera and the new processor. But I think I just found my reason. And I was reading an article either earlier this week or late last week about T-Mobile turning on their MIMO for faster LTE speeds.
Mm.
And the iPhone 7 has that, and my 6S Plus does not.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the only phones that have that right now are the Galaxy S7 phones.
Yeah, explain what you mean by that, just for the uninformed or.
So basically, if you're a T-Mobile customer, they are upping their LTE speeds. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so their LTE speeds are going to be jumping for download speeds up to 400 megabits per second with their new network. But you need the new modem and everything, and there are only select phones right now that have it. And so right now, the ones on the market are the Samsung Galaxy S7, S7 Edge, and presumably the Note 7. But the iPhone 7 is going to be the first Apple phone that has it. So
I would guess on the Note 7, this is something that has to be probably only available in certain areas because my phone isn't any faster than the other phones were before it.
Yeah, they've only turned it on in like 300 cities right now.
It's probably probably the ones that are burning up.
Maybe.
What's the Note 7, the most exciting Note ever?
I was excited about the Note 7, and I still think it's a great phone, except
when it blows up.
When it blows up after you start it for a while. In case you don't know, the Note 7's battery is defective, and apparently about 38 of them or something like that have exploded or burned up or gotten so hot that they were damaging, and Samsung has recalled them. I haven't yet got my new one, but right now we're watching Apple's insane iPhone porn.
That video was so annoying during.
I thought, do they take each one that they make and slowly do all that stuff? It'd take forever. You'd have to wait years before you got the iPhone 7.
Well, that's why you're going to pre-order this week and get it next week, is because they still haven't slowly done this with all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going to pre-order one. I think I've talked myself into it.
Okay. Well, let's go through they listed 10 things. Of those 10 things, LaRosa, you said what was most exciting that made you want it? Other than this, you said the faster speed.
One they didn't name.
Yeah, so like the LTE speeds on T-Mobile, that's my main reason for upgrading. But other than that, I think the most exciting thing is if you're getting the the iPhone 7 Plus, is the camera and the dual lens. And just all the different things that you can do with that. I'm not a photography geek or anything like that, but just being able to do all this stuff and go out and take more pictures, I think is going to be a fun idea.
Well, they now have a bigger pregnant back. Lots of people like to complain about that. I don't find it to be all that.
I complain about it because you can put a bigger battery in there and just make the thing flush.
That's true. I wish that they would do that, but they didn't. So, and it's not that big a deal. I'm excited about the camera, and that's the thing, because you heard me, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I was moaning about the headphone jack changing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this camera is enough to make me, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade. Because the difference in the camera, it's got two lenses, right? And one of the lenses...
The Plus does.
The Plus...
Right, not this
that's it.
one.
That's right. The smaller one doesn't. I presume they can't fit it in there, or they need an excuse to make it more expensive. I don't know.
Well, the
No,
Plus also has more RAM.
Is that it'll come in the next version the same way the image stabilization came to the 7, but it's
there's a good reason to keep it out of the iPhone 7.
Yes, I think what it is that they need to retool the manufacturing in order to make it small enough to fit in a smaller case, and so they're putting it out here and they're working on the process.
Is one camera is a faster speed. When I talk about speed, I mean it's got a 1.8. 1.8. Is that faster than the other iPhones?
Is the current one at 2.2?
I think so. What that means is somebody's got some echo. I don't know where it's coming from.
I think you're the only one without headphones, Kev.
No, but I think I'm somewhere else. Everybody mute yourself. See what happens. Anyway, did you guys hear me? Mute yourselves just for a second to see if we can find it. There we go. That fixed it. I think it's you, LaRosa. No? Anyway. Yeah, it is me. I'll get someone explain the camera.
All right, I'll do it.
Usually
it's always Kevin. No, the standard lens is a extreme wide angle, so it actually will take wide format pictures now. It's an f1.8, so it means it's very very good aperture, wide, lot of light will let perfectly for low light films or low light pictures, and it's a very fast focus lens. The other lens, and I think it might also be an f1.8, is a telephoto, which is the first time this has been on the iPhone built in. It's not a digital zoom. When you tap it, it will switch over to the other lens, and it's a
the telephoto is 2.8.
Is it okay? The telephone is 2.8, which is still pretty good, and it will go to a 2 times zoom, so it's twice the focal length, which is impressive, and Holoclip is probably freaking out right now. And so that you can switch back and forth, and they've changed the software in such a way that you can actually digitally zoom 10 times in, and the way it handles it, your sharpness doesn't get screwed up the way that it kind of did on the older versions with digital zoom. You can see that when people, I zoomed in on the picture and it's all fuzzy and blurry.
Yeah,
and
I always tell my wife,
gorgeous.
take the picture and crop it later. Don't.
Yes, but people don't get that.
Yeah.
And so it does it. But one of the things when they were doing and this is the exciting part, is when they were doing the demo, my question in our Slack chat was, but do the lenses work together? And then they went, and by the way, here's another thing we're working on. Now, this is not available yet. It will come out, I guess they said in October or something. We're probably having problems with the software. But it will use both lenses to create what's called shallow depth of field. So if you've ever seen like a really high-end picture where something is really tight in focus and the rest of it is all blurred, and actually Phil did a good job. That's bokeh. That's the thing in the background. Well, the iPhone 7 Plus can do that. And that's dang impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. And they showed some shots of what it looked like. In fact, he said, and here's a picture taken from a high-end DSLR, and no one questioned that it was a high-end DSLR picture because it looked gorgeous, even blown up on the screen that, was the size of the stage of the auditorium. And he says, I have to tell you, I lied before. This was actually the first picture taken with the iPhone 7 Plus camera. And he went back to the picture that he said was a DSLR, and my mind was blown that you could do that. Now, it's limited because it's very much designed specifically for portrait type photography. So you're not going to be doing that shallow depth of field with a huge range of focal lengths. But the fact that they can do it at all, that is amazing. And to me, it makes the iPhone camera a lot more of an artistic camera without having to rely on filters. And that's a technical achievement. That's something that they should be very proud of. Of course, it also doesn't work yet, which is why it's not in the initial release. But when it does, it will be really cool.
But there are already digital photography books specifically geared toward the iPhone. And of course, one of the problems is once those things are finally published, the iPhone's almost at end of life. But nevertheless, I can see a whole new methods of using this phone to do some really nice photography.
Mm-hmm. So to me, it's impressive. I still would love for them to give me RAW support.
Well,
Let me say I want to take it RAW.
I thought that RAW is coming.
Yeah, you can shoot in RAW.
Did they say you could shoot in RAW?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. I don't remember them saying it, but I thought that I'd read that somewhere.
Yeah,
I did not see that announced.
Yeah, they actually said it, that you can shoot in RAW.
He talked about being able to edit in Lightroom as RAW, but did he say you could shoot in RAW?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Oh, well, see, now I'm thinking, I'm not upgrading, but man, it suddenly becomes very tempting.
So LaRosa's upgrading. You're not upgrading, but you're tempted. Kevin, are you going to trade in your Note 7? Where'd Kevin go?
He's muted because he's looking for headphones.
I'm on Apple's iPhone upgrade program, which I got on last year with the other phone. And the wonderful thing about that is I'm never tied to a cell phone provider again. I'm not buying the phone through them. And if you're already purchasing an iPhone and adding Apple Care and making payments or whatever, it's about the same. And so I did it last year, and the great thing about it is you get the new, no, it's not free, it's the wrong word, but you get the new phone every year, and you just kind of keep making that payment. But so many of us for years were doing that with the phone companies anyway. But we weren't able to upgrade until every 2 years, and now we can upgrade once a year. And so I will be doing it. And there's another new feature about this too, is that this isn't a feature, but they up the sizes of storage. Starting at 16, it now starts at 32, goes to 128, and goes to 256. And so I've got the 128 now, which I have filled up at times, taking photos and video.
Right.
because this will do 4K video, and 4K video will fill up your phone quickly. So I will certainly want to get the 256 because I like to take the 4K video because I feel like I'm future-proofing my videos somewhat.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, I was.
He's with Sprint now, by the way.
As soon as I plugged in my headphones, my audio went away, and the only way I could do it was jump out and get back. Two things. One, you mentioned bokeh.
Yes.
What is bokeh?
I said that's the blurred background.
Okay, that happened when I wasn't in here that you explained it.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I saw someone on chat somewhere said, or on iTunes maybe it was, it's fakeh?
No, and actually, I complimented Phil. Did a really good job explaining it.
It does look nice, and it'll be good to use. And I'm excited about the telephoto. You get 2x. You also mentioned Clip. That's the company that makes the lenses that you can stick on the corner of your iPhone, and they come with a wide angle, a macro. I've done reviews of it. If you go over to gottabemobile.com and search for OLLOCLIP. And yes, those are awesome. And guaranteed they are probably already working on a new set of lenses. But if I upgrade my Clips will be useless. So any of you guys keeping your iPhone 6, I've got a whole set of Clip lenses that I'll send you for free. You got them. You put your hand up first. They're yours.
Yeah, it's like the only downside that I found to the iPhone 7 so far is just the colors. They got rid of space gray. And all this blue one that kept being leaked for months is non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like blue phones.
It almost makes me wonder if it was one of the different. There's the black and the jet black. It makes me wonder if it was one of those kind of with the light not on it correctly. Probably like just the regular black one, and it probably looked blue when it wasn't. That's my guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm with you. I would like colors. I'd love to have a red one.
Yeah, a red one would be handsome. I would like that as well. So, who is upgrading? Anybody?
Yeah, I am.
Most likely.
Because of the Apple upgrade program. That's what I was talking about a second ago.
So, LaRosa, yes. Which one do you want?
You're
not crazy about these, but which one do you really want?
I'll probably go for the black, only because it's the only one with the black front face, other than the jet black. But that one will get scratches like crazy.
Is the jet? Which one is one of them matte?
Yeah, the one that's just black is more matted than.
I thought that was kind of cool that it was a matte finish.
So Rick, which one do you want?
I will get the 256 plus, but I'm not sure yet which color to get.
Yeah, I am definitely not getting the black just because every time I get a new one, I get different than what I've got now.
Yeah, and I've got that now.
So I'll either try to get jet black or silver or gold. I won't get pink. I'm leaning towards the jet black.
Rose gold.
Yeah, I would get the rose.
No, it's not. It's pink.
I would get it.
Sorry.
I'm man enough to wear pink.
Let's talk about the audio. Let's talk about the audio.
Let's talk audio. Well, first off, it has stereo speakers.
Okay, I'm excited about that. Stereo speakers and louder speakers. That's the main thing. Even if they were just still mono, but louder, I'd be happy.
And may we all say it's about time?
Yeah, I think that's... Now, they're so narrow that the fact that they're stereo isn't that big a deal. I think it's just that there's two, so that makes
it increases the loudness, too. I mean, that's part of the thing.
Yeah, I think that's the real value. Yeah. Not that there's stereo, but that it's louder. I think that's the real value of it. I've talked about the fact that I'm not pleased that they're going to do away with the headphone jack, and these guys laugh at me. But you know what? I bet more people agree with me than you guys.
Well, Twitter seemed to
I bet the average person won't pay any attention. They'll just plug in their new iPhones and go.
Yeah, Twitter seemed to collectively have a hissy fit.
Well, that's probably mostly just Apple haters because they're going to hate no matter what it was.
I had one friend who said he's switching to Galaxy, and I kind of went, well, they're going to do the same thing and just go with USB-C. So
I think this is really the beginning of the end of the headphone jack. I think it'll be USB-C or Lightning, and I'm not going to defend Apple on this, but I really, like I said earlier today, just talking with you, I really don't care. I mean, in the sense that, and I should care. I should be one of the ones who cares, because I told you I probably bought a dozen headphones because I lose them. I'm the person who loses these things, and I'll probably need to get 2 or 3 of those adapters just for the ones that I've got sitting around.
Well, the nice thing about the adapter though is it's only $9.
Yeah, it's $9. But the thing is, it's not going to be functionally any different for me. I'll just plug in the new ones, and so I'm not defending them, because you could say that they kind of forced it as an excuse, but it just doesn't affect me that much.
I just remember how I felt when they got rid of the floppy disk. And went, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
See, now I didn't feel that then.
I know you were ready to get rid of it.
I was like, yeah, good, thank you.
See,
now
I'm
I went
split.
I went out and bought one of those super drives that would also read floppies and plugged that into my iMac.
They were awful.
My main gripe is I'm someone who likes to listen to music quite a bit. So I'm listening to music like at least 8 hours a day while I'm at work. And so most Bluetooth headphones aren't going to get me through an entire workday. And so if I need to charge my phone at the same time that I'm still trying to listen to music, like today where I just burned through the battery because I was doing the iOS 10 Gold Master, is I can only plug one thing into my Lightning port at one time. And so I've got the issue of, okay, if I still stick with wired headphones, I'm losing my port for charging. And if I'm using Bluetooth headphones, they can die on me.
That's the only downside I can see.
Yeah, and that's the big deal.
And I can predict a forked, kind of connector, maybe for people that are just in that situation. But I don't think that's going to be the average person. Like I said, the average person is just going to plug in the new, headphones and go.
And here's the other thing.
I got to say, as a consumer, I'm bummed. I'm not, because I do have 14 billion headphones lying around. My children keep finding them and losing them. But I'm also someone who doesn't listen to music all that much, because I just don't. So it doesn't bother me. But as a video creator, the idea that the 3.5mm jack is going away, I'm leaping for joy, because I hate this thing as a video creator. So I'm bummed as a consumer, and I'm like, whatever. I guess
the thing that LaRosa said is, that's my feeling as well, because I don't listen to a lot of music, but I do listen to podcasts all day long.
Yeah.
On my iPhone. And as a result, and I watched podcasts all day long on my iPhone.
Oh, your battery will definitely go.
So here's what I need. I need to plug in while I'm watching, or my battery will be dead. At about 2 o'clock, my battery's gone, because I'm watching video from about 8 a.m. to about 2, and that's about how long it lasts. And so that's, why am I kind of freaking out about this? That's why, because the reduction also is, what I do is I put in my Bluetooth headphones, and I listen for about 4 to 5 hours. When they die, I pull them out and I plug in my really nice set of earbuds that are not shaped like that. Ugh, this is like painful. I hate wearing these things. I'm doing it just for you, the wonderful audience out there, so that this sounds good.
But you're the perfect candidate though for the AirPods, because they'll go 24 hours.
No, but they've only got 5 hours of playback time.
Let's talk about those in a minute, though.
The stupid things are shaped like this, and for someone like me, that hurts. After about 40 minutes, it hurts.
I've got a bunch of them. I like them.
It hurts. I mean, it literally hurts.
And Kevin, I'm the same way. I love the way my Beats sound, and I didn't pay retail for Beats. Please understand that. They sound incredible. They sound so much better than these things, but I can only keep them in my head for about 45 minutes, because same thing, they hurt.
Yeah.
People's heads are just shaped
now,
so differently.
Here's the other side of it, though. Name the customer-centric reason for doing this.
Waterproofing.
Yeah, waterproofing is a big one.
They can waterproof it without. Guess what this has? See the headphone jack? This is waterproof. put it right in the water. If I had a bucket of water, I'd put it in there and not be afraid. First of all, it would keep it from blowing up. But you can waterproof it with headphones, with a headphone jack.
It's easier without.
What will be interesting to
Apple doesn't need easier. They're better than everyone else. Their engineers are better. They don't need easier.
Because of all the other hardware they put in there as well.
What's that?
It's also because of all the other hardware they crammed in there for like the new home button. They just didn't
when
have
they showed the layout, the Taptic engine was really the death knell of the headphone jack, because it's you can see where it is. It's at the exact same spot.
Put it somewhere else. They used to have them on the top.
Well,
That's where the camera is.
I'm sure this will be tested by third parties. It'll be interesting to see, or to hear, I guess, the quality difference between the headphone jack and the Lightning port. Because
I'm not even worried about the sound quality, because I'm listening to audio.
But there will be some people who are, and it'll be interesting to see those compared.
I assume it'll sound better. Okay.
You'll get better because it's straight digital.
Yeah.
But
instead of a conversion.
Is that worth what I consider to be a hassle of no longer having it? I've said my piece, and you guys have. Two of you don't care. One of you sort of agrees with me.
I think a year from now we won't even be thinking about it.
Yeah, I've got one more gripe though about going just to push towards Bluetooth. Is they require a battery, and then you eventually have to replace them. Whereas like these headphones right here, as long as I take care of them, they'll last me the rest of my life.
Yeah,
and I will say this, because this is the nerd. When the 3.5 millimeter plug goes away, I will miss the audio hiss from analog playback, because it's just such a familiar sound.
Kind of like the pops on the LP.
Yep. Yeah, and there's just something about, even when I had the Beats on, it's so clear and it's so clean and it's really kind of cool, but it just feels weird. I probably won't miss it for long because I'll get used to something else, but I will miss the analog hiss.
Look, I own an iPad. I've got a Mac Mini and a MacBook Pro. I've owned every iPhone since the 3G, except for, the ones that they sold for cheap. So I'm not an Apple hater at all. I really like Apple products, but this whole announcement today was making me laugh at Apple, because Apple is so ridiculous. Their spin. Why did we do it? Courage. No, he did it because there's a financially viable reason that makes you make more money. That's why they did it.
Say courage in your
giving
best,
away the adapter for
lion.
free. So what's the extra money?
If it was courage, they would have switched from Lightning to USB-C.
Well, that would have been real courage.
That would have been courage, and I might have actually been interested in that. But so anyway, let's move on from this. We don't need to
bad USB. So
we don't need to hash it. Is there anything else of the new features on the iPhone that you guys are fired up about?
The camera was the big one for me.
Yeah, me too.
Camera, and then finally dumping 16 gigs.
Yeah, that was good.
Again, 3 iterations too late, but thank you.
All right, LaRosa, explain these AirPods. You've been wanting to talk about them. We've hinted at them.
So basically, the AirPods are wireless headphones. So take your Apple earbuds, chop off the wires, and you basically got what they are. And so they're wireless headphones. People were wondering if there's going to be some kind of new wireless technology. They are Bluetooth. The way you connect them is different, because it'll connect. You connect it to one, and then using iCloud, it'll connect to all your other Apple devices automatically. And so you move from one, you put the case. So I'll use this little box as an example as my pod case. You take that, put it near your phone, it'll auto-connect, you tap connect, and it'll be paired to that device. And so you get about 5 hours of continuous playback before you got to charge them again, but then the little case has a battery in it, so you can just stick them in there, and you can get 24 hours of playback from charging it through there. But yeah, it's basically just their version of wireless headphones that look really weird. And as a Doctor Who fan, it reminds me of something that they would use before turning you into Cybermen.
The Cybermen episode! Oh my god!
Do you think that was on purpose?
I hope not.
All right, so $159 Bluetooth earbuds. I asked you guys earlier, and nobody was freaked out by the price.
I
So I
expected it to be higher. I'm not buying them.
I have no interest in it.
And
Kevin, what did I say to you beforehand? The one clever comment I saw on Twitter about this whole thing was Apple AirPods, $159, or zero when you find a pair that has fallen out of someone's ears on the street.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's kind of funny.
Sad, and the one thing to note is that the same wireless technology that they're using to connect to your Apple devices is also in the new Beat headphones. So the Beat Solo 3 and the Power Beats 3 has the same.
Which costs more money.
The ones I have now?
Not the ones you have now, the new ones that just
got announced today. Announced today.
Well, anything we need to say about iOS and Mac OS? They're going to be coming soon.
Well, so wait, before that, we can order Friday.
Oh yeah.
Headphones. You know, we can order Friday, and I presume that means, midnight.
Midnight Pacific.
Yeah, midnight Pacific, which would be 3 a.m. here.
Yeah, midnight for me. Woohoo!
And Mike,
you're the one who can get it in time.
Yeah.
3 a.m. is
Eastern.
Ridiculous. There's no way I'm waiting up this time. I've done it in the past. And recently, though, if you get up early in the morning, you can get in easier, and they still have them available usually.
Kevin, on the day that the 6S Plus came out, I decided at like 4 o'clock I was going to go get one, and I walked into the Apple store at Cherry Hill Mall and got the exact model I want, and turned around and walked out. I couldn't believe it.
I don't think it's as big a problem because first of all they're doing better. That's the benefit of Tim Cook being in charge. He was really good at making the trains run on time, and so he gets the supply chain going a lot better. And the second thing is I just don't think. I don't think there's the mad rush that there used to be because Apple's got more competition than they used to in really high quality Android devices. So
I have a question though. What is the length of time that's going to happen before Amazon has a wire that basically connects the two Apple AirPods together, replacing the wire that Apple removed, and B, the Franken plug for the Lightning connector that has like the Lightning charger adapter and the 3.5 millimeter jack. You think even that quick?
Yep.
Well, the only reason they might not is you would have had to have you would have had to been doing a real bet, because while a lot of this was rumor and pretty much everyone assumed it was true, it's still a bit of a bet, and so I don't know, maybe companies will hold off for that. I personally think that you will see third-party stuff, within by Christmas, definitely, probably by the end of October. Most of them. I'm already getting, press releases from companies saying pre-order our whatever gadget, that will.
and cases are already on Amazon.
Yeah, you can buy cases now.
They went live with their iPhone 7 and 7 Plus case page like an hour before.
I'm still waiting for this case for an iPhone 7 Plus.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard back from the manufacturer yet.
Well, you could cut out where the camera was, and it'll fit there.
Get your X-Acto knife out. And get all crafty.
All right, Kevin, what do you want to go on to?
I don't know. It's almost 10 o'clock, so maybe we're done. Oh, I asked about iOS. Anything to say about iOS and Mac OS?
So iOS 10 comes out Tuesday. iPhone comes out next Friday, and Mac OS Sierra comes out on the 20th. And I'm assuming WatchOS 3 comes out next week as well.
Yeah, if you're on the beta track, for iOS, you can download the Goldmaster today, I understand.
Yeah. Yep, I've got the Goldmaster on my iPad and iPhone.
I am so tempted.
And then,
well, you don't have to pay a dime. I can get you in. If you just give me your thing, I can put you on my beta account. See there, it's available, ready to go. I'll wait till after we're done streaming to download it.
because I want Sierra.
Yeah, I'm not touching that until after my big project. I do have my favorite thing, Kev, that we're going to show.
Okay, jump on it. Go ahead.
We don't have time. So
we got about a minute.
I don't know if I can walk on.
No, go ahead. I'm kidding. We've actually got about 5 minutes.
So let me bring up my screen here.
And let me just say, while you're doing that, just
go right ahead.
You know, I talked a lot about how great this phone is. It still is great. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7 is a great phone, but they do have a manufacturing flaw. You can't buy it now, so don't get too excited or worried about it. T-Mobile sent me a text saying, "Go sign up, and we'll notify you," and I haven't been notified yet. You can return it if you got all excited because I told you to get it, and you want to return it. It doesn't matter when you bought it. They will take it up to September 30th, no questions asked. T-Mobile, I assume the others are doing this, but I know T-Mobile said, we'll even take back all the accessories you bought for it. If you bought cases or anything else you bought that day with your phone, bring it back and we'll
return
take
and get the new iPhone.
Yeah, some of the others are.
Yeah, you can.
My brother was able to return his to Verizon and get the 6S Plus, but that's only because he was still within like the 14-day return period.
Yeah.
Yeah, T-Mobile, well, Samsung will take it back. If you go directly through Samsung, they'll take it through September 30th, no questions asked.
But then you're just without a phone by having to send it to them.
Yeah, if you do that, you better have another phone or just decide I don't want to, use my contract. But
just take a week when you're off.
If you don't want the new version of this, just go in and you still want it's almost the exact same phone as the S7 Edge. Just go get the S7 Edge. It's almost the same thing. You just don't get the dandy pen, and it's just a tad bit narrower than the Note 7. So I just wanted to bring that up since I made such a big deal out of it last week. Go ahead.
No problem, Mr. Cameron. All right. Is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my typical Accordance desktop, my workspace. And I've said before on shows that when I'm working on a sermon series, I create a user note. And I just do my translation, which is pretty much just for my personal edification. I don't claim to be a great scholar.
That's a user tool, right?
That is a user tool. But when you edit a user tool, it pops up a window and it blocks part of the screen, which I put up with, which is fine, and you can usually manually shrink it down to fit stuff. Now, with the current version of Accordance, I actually can tile my windows, and this will pop up on one side or the other to where it's not blocking into the interface anymore. But I've noticed it's a little unstable when I do that. And also, there's no way for me to duplicate that behavior because you cannot edit user tools on Accordance for iOS. And with my new iPad Pro, I wanted something that was actually going to work. And one of the things that I noticed was that Apple's Notes app will work side by side with Accordance on iOS. And so I decided that might be an interesting thing to do inside macOS if I could. Well, OS X right now. And so here is a current series that I'm working on. We're going to go through the Beatitudes and Fall. I have 2 preview sermons that I'm doing. And if you open up right now, this will only split into half the screen when you get a full screen mode. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. But if you double click on a single note, it'll pop it up in its own window. And I thank Rick for pointing that out to me. And I use the Apple's full screen to make it like that. And then I go to Accordance and see how that drug down. So now I have my full suite from my Accordance workspace open to me. No part of it is blocked by my editing window, and I can edit over on the side over here and go through. Now, when I get done, I'm probably going to copy and paste this into a user tool because that's where an archive in Accordance can search it and it can add notes and things like that. And and actually, Rick, this will even work with location links too, right?
Yeah, it should.
So, I mean, I don't lose anything, and I gain the ability to have my whole Accordance workspace open and the ability to use my user notes for my thoughts over on the side. And I can create almost this exact same setup on my iPad Pro. so that I can be editing notes on the side and have my
and
iOS workspace open.
let me ask you, when you're doing this on your iPad Pro, do you use that, like the notes in kind of like the third of the space, like you can do with a split screen there?
That's exactly how I do it. So it looks very, I mean, it's obviously the iOS app over here, but that 1/3 where the notes are looks exactly the same. And that syncs automatically back and forth between the two. And iCloud syncing for notes is getting a little better. And so for me, it's really nice for a workflow, and it makes Accordance a lot more accessible to me. So, and it makes iOS Accordance even more usable. I'm sorry I don't have the ability to share that right now.
You said iCloud syncing?
Yeah, because Apple Notes syncs through iCloud.
Wow.
So, and I haven't had any issues with it. For whatever reason, Notes seems to think.
Yeah, I missed something. Okay. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
That's okay. Let me see if I can sync this right now to where I can AirPlay my iPad. You guys can continue while I think.
Anybody else got a favorite thing they want to throw out there real quick at the end here?
There we go.
No favorite thing other than I'm playing around with iOS 10 and I'm really enjoying it. Although the home button is taking some getting used to.
We didn't really talk about the home button much on the iPhone, did we?
We did not. It is not a physical button. It's actually not a physical button anymore. They're using the taptic feedback engine to mimic a button press. So basically, taking what they enabled with 3D Touch in the 6S and getting rid of the actual physical button altogether, and that's part of what's helped them waterproof or make the phone water resistant. And so yeah.
So now you've got this, what you were talking about earlier, Wes, you've got it
set up on iOS.
On iOS.
So I can do a translation. So if I want to go, to Greek over here, and I can work on my translation and type out my poor translation over here, do my thoughts. I can still do my user notes on the side. That's the one thing I wish would be a little bit better on iOS Accordance is the way user notes get inputted. But I can have a very nice layout and come over on my Mac and have pretty much the same ability to do a very similar workflow. And I think that's pretty cool. So
cool.
It's a nice way of leveraging multitasking.
Well, I think we're coming up at the end here. In fact, we're a little over time as we usually are, but that's okay. I've enjoyed this. This is one of those times where we say we talk about technology for the church and for Christians. This is one of those times it's more about the technology than the church and the Christians. But I think there's a lot of you guys out there that are listening or watching that will find this interesting. And next week we'll be talking about something else we haven't even decided yet, but this has been fun. I'm glad that you guys were all able to join us. We'll hopefully get Antoine back with us next Tuesday night, not Wednesday night. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled time of Tuesday night next week, hopefully. And go to Theotek.com to find out how to subscribe on iTunes and other platforms. And also make sure you go, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, which I think is over that way or wherever it is. Hit the subscribe button so you'll know when we're doing this every week, and you can watch live even. And hit us up, give us some comments or questions, and we'll cover those live on the show the next week. We appreciate you guys watching. Signing off.
Bye.
See ya later. We never did reference why we said Sia, S-I-A. The singer Sia was their big act this time, much to the chagrin of a couple people. Yeah. We all should have come with wigs on covering our faces. That would have been pretty cool.
She does have an excellent voice.
She's got a beautiful voice.
I thought the performance was a little
I can cover my face with this.
Well,
wrong
thank you, Mr. Robot.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong
podcast. Sorry.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's my anonymous.
Good night, everybody.
See you.